Hello everyone, myself Pancham Singh, Assistant Professor in IT Department, AKGC Ghaziabad. I am going to discuss the topic process, and there are agenda on the process, that is a process concept, process scheduling, process operations, yeah, or you can say the different operations on the processes, inter-process communications. Example are IPC, that is inter-process communication, communication in the client server system. So these are the content. Now I am going to discuss one by one. So the objective of this topic is to introduce the notion of a process, a program in execution which forms the basis of all computation. So process, you can say I am going to discuss about the process. So process, a program in execution is called the process. So process is active entity and program is passive entity. And now in the second topic, to describe the various features of the processes, including scheduling criteria and termination and communication. So how process can communicate to each other, which type of features of the process are given here, and how you will apply the scheduling technique on different processes. What are the process states, or you can say process state diagrams, to explore the inter-process communication using the shared memory and message passing. So this is a very important topic in the operating system. So in operating system, how you will communicate one process to another process by message passing and shared memory concept. So this topic is very important in the operating system. And last one is that to describe the communication, the client server structure, or you can say client server systems, how client communicate to the server. So this is the client server model. So client can communicate to the server by sending message, by sending a mail. So definitely this is a very important topic in the client server system. So client send the request to the server. If server is accepting that particular request, then after client will get the permission to access the system. So these are the objectives of this topic, like process, about the process and process management. So here is the process concept. So an operating system execute a variety of programs. So definitely operating system is a system software. It will provide the interface between the hardware and the users, and how you will run the various programs in the operating system in the different forms, like batch systems, in the form of the jobs, time shared system, user program or task. So operating system will give the platform through which we can run the different programs in the batch system model, or you can say in time shared system environment. Now next one is the process, a program in execution. Process execution must progress in the sequential fashion. So program in execution is called the process, and the process is an active entity and program is the passive entity, and all program are executed in the sequential fashion. And now next topic is the multiple parts. So the program code, also called the text section, current activities including program counter, process registers. So these are the sections where programs are written in the different forms. Like program counter, it will count the number of programs, how many programs are executing one by one. And what is the stack? So stack containing the temporary data and the function parameters, return addresses, local variables. So stack is have the detailed information about the process. And what about the data section? So data sections containing global variables, where you can have the local variables and global variables. So data section basically contain the detailed information about the processes. What about the data sections containing global variables? Heap containing memory dynamically allocated during the runtime. So heap you will use at the dynamic runtime when program is executing. So these are the steps where you will run the programs. So program basically run by the different forms. When a program is executing, definitely it will get the state. So a process have the running state, ready state, you can say waiting state. So these are the different states of the processes are given when program is executing. Now process program is passive entity stored on a disk, and process is active entity. So earlier I have discussed about that, what is the program and what is the process. Program is passive entity and process is active entities. program become process when executable file loaded into the memory. So definitely here you can say that any program which is running inside the memory, or when the program is loaded inside the memory for execution, then after that program will be processed. So execution of program started by GUI mouse, or you can say graphical user interface mouse, click, command line entry of its name, etc. So a program will started by the GUI or by the command line process, then after the program will start executing. And next topic is one program can be several processes. Consider multiple users executing the same program. So definitely at the same time many programs can be executed on the machine, or you can say multiple users, they are executing the same program on different platforms. So these are the process where I have discussed about the process and how it will start executing inside the system. So here is the process in the memory, how a process will allocated inside the memory. So first the process will allocated into memory. Definitely it will have the stack, and it will have the heap information, data information, text. So you will load the program inside the memory, then after that program will start to execution. So it will get the information, all information must be loaded inside the memory before it is going to execution. So now process state diagram, this is the very important in the operating system, process state diagram. So definitely if you're going to explain about the process, so process, you know very well what is the process and what is the program, but here we are going to discuss about the process state diagram, how many states are given when a process is start to execution. So start in initial phase, as a process execution, it's change the state. So definitely when the program is start to execution, so first it will go for the new state, that is the new stand for the process is being created. So if process being created, it will go for the new state, and when the program is start to execution, or when the program is start to running, instructions are being executed. So what instructions you have already loaded inside the memory, and then after program will start to execution. Now what about the waiting state? The process is waiting for some event to occur. So any process will be in the waiting state. It means that some event, some interrupt, when it will get for the input side, or you can say it will get by the system call, then that particular waiting state will be converted into ready state, or you can say it will convert to the running state. So what about the ready state? The process is waiting to be assigned to a processes. So ready state means a process is in the waiting, it will change the state from waiting to ready state, and after that it will go for the running state. What about the terminated state? The process has finished execution, that is called the terminated state. So process has finished their work, then after the process will be terminated, and now the next process will get the chance to execution in the memory. So these are the process state. So process have different states. So definitely this is the diagram where a process state diagram is given here. So in the process state diagram, you can say here, so process have the different state diagram. Let's say first state diagram here is a new state, ready state, waiting state, running state, and terminated state. So definitely any state will be changes accordingly their input value, or you can say input value, or you can say any interrupt or system call. Then after the process will change their states. So like any new process is going to ready state, so definitely it will be admitted. So now ready to running state, scheduler dispatch that ready state to the running state, then after program will go on the ready to running state, and that running state to terminated state, it means that program has finished their work, and now that process will go for the terminated state. So this is the diagram basically explain about the how process are changing their state between the one state to another state as per their input value, or you can say as per their interrupts. So what about the process control block? So this is the very important here, and it will ask in the university exam also. This is the very important topic in the operating system. So information associated with each process in the PCB also called task control block. So if you're going to know about the process, so definitely PCB stand for the process control block. It will have the whole information about the process, like process state, process number, program counter, registers, memory, limits, list of the open files. So these are the records of the process when process will start to execution. So which type of programs are running inside the memory? You can say that what are the program number, you can say process number, which type of program is running. So it will have the whole information about the process, where is the process and what are the states of the process. So in the process state, running, waiting, etc. So process state will have the two state, like a running state and waiting state. What about the program counter? So program counter, location of the instruction to be next execute. Program counter will it will have the location of the instruction to next execute. Now CPU register, so contains of all process center registers. And next point is the CPU scheduling information, priority scheduling, queue pointer. So in CPU scheduling, there are different algorithms are given here in the like FCFS CPU scheduling algorithm, SJF scheduling algorithm, priority scheduling algorithm, round robin scheduling algorithm. So there are different scheduling algorithms are given here. So as per the requirement, as per the user demand, you will apply the different scheduling algorithm on that particular program when it will start to execution. So what about the memory management? So memory management information, it will manages the memory that required by the process, or you can say the process is demanding that particular memory, that memory must be allocated at the execution time. Now what about the accounting information? CPU used clock time elapsed since start time limit. So definitely accounting information means when the CPU will start execution on that particular process, so it will start to executing the time, how much time that taken by that particular process when it will complete their work. Now last one is the input output status information. So input output devices allocate to process list of the open files. So how many programs are open, how many files are open. So input output status information must have the all records of that allocated devices which are used by the process. So this is the diagram where a process how can one process to switch to another process state, or you can CPU switch from process to process. So CPU must switch from the one process to another process. So here is the two processes are given here, process P0 and process P1, and how process P0 is executing and how it will change their state. So this is the diagram here. So process P0 is start executing and it will get the interrupts, interrupt or system call, and it will save their state like inside the PCB, that is PCB 0, and that time the system will be in the idle state when it will change the state and reload the state from the PCB, and after it will go to the change the state, like process P0 want to change the state into the process P1. So definitely it will first save the reload the state of that process P1 before executing. So if process P0 is going to change the state of process P1, so process P0 will save the state and process P1 will reload the state of their own, and after that it will start to executing. So one process want to change the state on the basis of first process P1, first process P0 will save the state and second process P1 will reload the state, then after process P1 will start to execution. So this is the changes will occur inside the different processes when process P0 want to change the state for the process P1, and similarly if process P1 to change the state for the process P2, so process P2 will reload the state, then after process P2 will start to execution. So this is the process where CPU will switches from process to process. So process P1, P0 and P1 can change the state. So what about the thread? So thread is a lightweight process whenever your program is executing. So thread, there are different types of threads are given in the operating system. We will discuss, or you can say in the Java programming, in the object-oriented language, you will use the concept of the threading. So here is the multiple location can execute at once multiple thread of the control thread. So thread, if the operating system is in operating system, if multiple programs are executing at the same time, so they are controlled by the threading. They are controlled by the threading. let's say you can say many to one allocation are there. So programs are executing and they are controlled by the OS, or you can say they are controlled by the kernel. So there is a many to one allocation. So thread is a very important topic in the operating system, and all programs must be controlled by the PCB, or you can say all programs must be controlled by the threading concept when they are executing. So process representation in the Linux operating system, you can represent the process in this form. So they are executing in the form of the PID and T under PID, process identifier. So first you will identify the process, then you will look long state of the process, what are the state of the processes are given here. So now you will apply the scheduling algorithms, then a process, either this process is parent process or this process is child process, how many files are open, what are the address of that particular process. So these are all the information which are executing that particular process. So it will execute it in the sequential order, and then after the program will finish their work. So process scheduling is very important and in the operating system because when you are going to schedule the process, so which process will go for the execution first? This is the question here. So maximum CPU use quickly switch process onto CPU for time sharing environment. So this is the maximum CPU utilization. So your target is to busy CPU more and more. So maximum CPU utilization, your target is maximum CPU utilization. So how you will busy the CPU? So process scheduler basically select among the available processes for next execution on CPU. So process scheduler is a scheduler which will select the processes, or you can say select the programs among the available the process, and which will go for the execution to the CPU. So maintain scheduling queues of the processes. So definitely it will maintain the queue like job queue, ready queue, device queue. So there are different queues are given here. So job queue means set of all processes in the system. So job queue basically it will have the set of processes inside the system. What about the ready queue? So set of all processes residing in the main memory, ready and waiting to execute. So ready queue means क्या होगा? Set of all processes, they are residing in the memory and they are waiting for the execution. And what about the device queue? Set of processes waiting for and input output devices. So definitely in the device queue set of processes, they are waiting for input output devices. If you are giving the input output devices, that particular process will move in the next state, you can say in the ready state, and after that it will go for the execution state. So processes migrate among the various queues. So processes will move in the different queues, like in the job queue, ready queue, device queue, and running state. So they are moving in the different queues when that particular program or process will in waiting in the different states. So here is the ready queue and the various input output device queue. So you can see here, so queue header is given in the ready queue, and now queue header is connected to the PCB7 and PCB2, and if you are going to directly connect with the PCB2 or to the tail of the queue header, so this is the link. If there is only two process like PCB7 and PCB2 are given, so you will finish by the tail of the queue header to the PCB2. Now similarly you can see here that different diagrams are given here, and they are also indicating that how you are going to connect the different processes, or they are executing in the different state, and they are connected by the first initial header to the last PCB information. So this is the ready queue and various input output device queue. So this is the very important here representation of process scheduling. So how you will schedule the processes. So this is the medium term scheduler. So how scheduling and scheduler. So how scheduler will pick the different jobs and they will send for the execution. So queuing diagram represents queues resources flow. So ready queue is here. If the process are reside in the main memory and it will waiting for the execution by the CPU, that is the ready state. So ready queue. So here is the input output queues, input output request, time slice expired, fork a child, wait for an interrupt. So definitely any process, like let's say you are giving the new input, you are sending the new request for execution to the CPU. So definitely that request will move to the in the ready state. Then after that process will start to executing. Let's say if the time slice or time quantum has expired for that particular process, then what happened? Then that process will again go in the ready state. Then after it will move for the execution. So there are different states are given input queues. So we are creating the next process for the go for the input state. If the time slice is expired, now what happened? That process will again move in the ready state. And if you are creating the new child process, then definitely that child process will move in the ready state and wait for an interrupt. If some process is waiting here and they are waiting for the interrupts, if you are giving the interrupts, definitely that interrupt will be taken by that particular process, and after that it will go to the ready state. So definitely all processes, whatever you are going to create a new or some processes which are going to expire, so definitely all process must will go in the ready state or ready queue, and then after it will go for the running state, and after that it will go for the termination state. So this is that schedulers here. So short-term schedulers are very important in the operating system. So there are three important types of schedulers: long-term schedulers, short-term schedulers, and medium-term schedulers. So first scheduler is the short-term scheduler. So short-term scheduler is also known as the CPU scheduler. Select which process should be executed next and allocated CPU. So we are going to select that particular process which we are going to execute for the CPU. So sometimes the only scheduler in the system, short-term scheduler, is invoked frequently. Millisecond must be fast, because in short-term scheduler we have selected, we are going to select short jobs which are going to execute in the millisecond, so that the speed of the short-term scheduler is very fast. So definitely here we are selecting only short programs for execution. So the performance of the short-term scheduler is very high, or you can say the performance of short-term scheduler is good. Now move for the long-term scheduler, or this is also known as the job scheduler. Select which process should be brought into the ready queue. So we will select that particular program or process and for the ready queue, so that we will give the chance of the longer programs or longer programs in the ready queue for execution. So say is a long-term scheduler is invoked frequently. Second, minutes may be slow, because the size of the quantum time, sorry, you can say the bus time of that particular process is higher, so that we are going to select the higher bus time processes for execution in the memory. So that's why it will take the minutes or second, and the speed of that long-term scheduler is slow. So the long-term scheduler control the degree of multi-programming. So definitely if you're going to use the long-term scheduler, so it will control the degree of multi-programming. Process can be described as either input-output bound process or CPU bound process. So process will have the different processes, bound process, like input-output bound process, CPU bound process. So in input-output bound process, you spend more time doing input-output than computation mini short CPU bus. So here we are spending more time on the input-output rather than in the CPU bus. Now last one is the CPU bound process. It spend more time doing computation few very long CPU bus. So long-term scheduler strives for good process mix. So in long-term scheduler we will use the mix of the processes for execution. So this is the diagram of the medium-term scheduler here. So in medium-term scheduler, basically you will use the concept of the swapping. If the process is demanded, then you will swap that particular process which are on the higher priority, which are in the demand, and the program which are in the memory, we will swap out from that memory and we will store in the backing store, and swapping process will occupy the space of the memory for the execution. So swapping concept will use in the medium-term scheduler as per the process demand, as per the process priority. So multitasking in the mobile system. So in mobile system now we are going to different multitasking concept, like in single foreground process controlled by a user interface, in multiple background process in memory running but not on the display, and which limits. So in multitasking environment or in the mobile system, so you will use the different types of operating system, and the code of the operating system in the mobile system lighter, or you can say small codes are used by the operating system in the mobile applications. So here you are going to use the iOS provides single foreground and multiple background processes that are used in the mobile application. So context switching, this is the very important in the operating system. So how context switching will occur in the operating system? So when CPU switches to another process, the system must save the state of the old process and load the saved state for the new process by a context switching. So context switching will perform when a process, let's say process P0 are switched by the process P1. So process P1 will save the state of that state of the process, and after that process P1 will reload the state of the process inside the memory. Then after switching will perform. So switching will perform only if the older process will save the state and newer process will save the state. Then after context switching will perform in the operating system. So context of a process represented in the PCB. Context switch time is overhead. The system does not use full work while switching. So at the switching time, most of the time is wasted inside the switching, and the performance of the system is not good. So switching will take the more time in the process switching. Let's say process P0 want to switch in the by process P1, and process P1 switch by the process P2. So definitely the time is used in the switching and it will not use in the work. Thank you.